In the heart of an ancient and emerald green forest, where golden sunlight filtered gently through the canopy, lived a great herds of deer. They grazed in harmony, side by side. One herd was led by the Golden Deer King, a magnificent creature, both strong and wise. The other followed the Black Deer King, who was known for his calm and thoughtful nature. For years, their lives were a portrait of peace. But beyond the forest edge lived a human king, a man whose greatest pleasure was hunting. Every single day, without fail, he would ride into the woods, his bow and arrows ready. The serene forest floor soon became a place of terror. The sharp whistle of arrows echoed through the trees, sending herds scattering in panic. The ground trembled with the frantic hooves of fleeing deer. It was a daily massacre, a senseless slaughter just to satisfy the king's hobby. The number of deer dwindled, their spirits broken by constant fear. Seeing his people suffer, the Golden Deer King knew something had to be done. He sought out the Black Deer King. "Brother," he said, his voice heavy with sorrow, "if this continues, none of our kind will survive. Our herds will vanish from this earth." The Black Deer King nodded grimly. "You are right. We must find a way to end this suffering." They stood in somber silence, the weight of their people's future on their shoulders. After much deliberation, they arrived at a heartbreaking solution, a pact born of desperation. Each day, they declared, "One deer from our two herds will offer itself to the king. This way, the hunt will stop and the rest may live in peace." It was a terrible sacrifice, a tragic lottery of life and death, but it was the only way they could see to protect the majority. A profound sadness fell over the forest as the agreement was made. The deer would trade one life each day to save the many, and so the grim ritual began. One day, it was the Black Deer King's herd's turn to provide the sacrifice. The next, it was the Golden Deer King's. The days turned into weeks, each sunrise bringing with it a fresh wave of grief. Then, one morning, the lot fell upon a deer from the Golden King's herd. It was a gentle doe, her body swollen with new life. Trembling, she approached the Golden Deer King and knelt before him, her eyes filled with a terror that went beyond her own fear. "Your Majesty," she pleaded, her voice barely a whisper, "please, spare me. It is not for myself I ask, but for the little one I carry. My time is coming soon. Please, let me give birth, and then I swear to you, I will go to the king's palace without delay." A heavy silence fell across the entire herd. Every deer stood frozen, their hearts aching for the mother-to-be. The Golden Deer King looked deep into her eyes. He saw her terror, yes, but he also saw something more powerful, the pure, unconditional love of a mother for her unborn child. How could he ask her to make such a choice? How could he sentence the lives to death for the sake of one? He felt a wave of compassion wash over him, so strong it shook him to his core. "No," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "I cannot force a mother to abandon her unborn child. I cannot ask a life to be extinguished before it has even begun." He then took a step forward, his golden coat shimmering in the morning light. "I will go in her place." A collective gasp swept through the herd. Cries of protest erupted. "No, Your Majesty, you cannot. You are our king. We need you. You must live." But the Golden Deer King simply turned to them, his gaze firm yet gentle. "A life is a life," he said calmly. "Mine is not more precious than hers, and it is certainly not more precious than the new life she carries within her." With those words, he turned and began his solitary walk towards the human king's palace, leaving his stunned herd behind, his head held high. The Golden Deer King walked with quiet dignity into the palace courtyard. The human king was on his throne, preparing for his daily meal. When he saw the magnificent creature enter, He was stunned. He had expected a common deer, but here stood a king among deer, offering itself. Why? The human king asked, his curiosity overriding his surprise. Why would you, a king, come here to die? I have never seen such a thing. The golden deer king met his gaze without fear. Because today's law fell to a pregnant mother, he explained, I could not let her die. My life is no more important than hers, and it is no more important than the little one in her womb. A true king protects the weakest among his people, even if it means sacrificing himself. The human king fell silent. He stared at the deer king, truly seeing him for the first time. He had hunted these animals for sport, viewing them as nothing more than trophies. But here was an animal displaying a depth of compassion and nobility he had rarely witnessed, not even among his fellow humans. The deer king's words echoed in his mind. A true king protects the weakest. A profound sense of shame washed over him. He, the human king, had been selfish and cruel, while this animal, this mere beast, understood the true meaning of leadership and love. Tears welled up in the human king's eyes and began to stream down his face. This animal, he whispered to himself, shows more loyalty and compassion than I, the human king, have ever known. I am ashamed of what I have become. He rose from his throne, his heart transformed by this single, powerful encounter. He looked at the golden deer king and then addressed his entire court. From this day forward, he declared, his voice booming with newfound purpose, I decree that no one shall ever hunt a single deer in this forest again. All deer, and indeed all creatures within this kingdom, will be protected. This land will be a sanctuary forever. The golden deer king bowed his head in gratitude, a silent acknowledgement of this profound change of heart. And so, peace returned to the ancient forest. The deer could once again run freely, their young playing without fear under the soft, warm sunlight. The echo of arrows was replaced by the gentle rustle of leaves and the happy calls of fawns. The golden deer king did not conquer with strength or with force. He conquered with compassion. His story teaches us that compassion is not a weakness. It is the most powerful force in the world, capable of softening even the hardest of hearts. When one being is willing to suffer so that another may live, the world itself begins to change. The compassionate deer king shows us that a single act of goodness, a single choice driven by love, can save not just one life, but an entire kingdom. One compassionate choice has the power to change the world. Thank you for listening. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales that inspire.